Let's go forward. Suspect touchdown.
You can turn it off. Can't tell. The lights are still back in front. All right, give me 1 second. Yeah. Tell him to roll down the windows too.
Driver in a red Toyota. Turn off your vehicle. Put all your windows down.
May I try Spanish?
Conductor del vehículo rojo. Baja todas tus ventanas.
He was swerving in and out of lanes. He almost teased into a car.
Baja todas tus
I
ventanas.
would try to pull him over, but he stopped over here.
Pon las manos para afuera. Put both of your hands out. Careful. Hey, dude. Hey.
Hey!
Baja todas tus ventanas.
What you guys got? Just
He was swerving in and out of lanes. He almost teased into a car.
Baja todas tus
I
ventanas.
would try to pull him over, but he stopped over here.
Pon las manos para afuera. Put both of your hands out. Hey, dude.
Hey!
Baja todas tus ventanas.
what you guys got?
He was swerving in and out of lanes. He almost teased into a car.
Baja todas tus
I
ventanas.
would try to pull him over, but he stopped over here.
Pon las manos para afuera. Put both of your hands out. Careful. Hey, dude. Hey.
Hey!
Officer, please help. Driver in a red Toyota. Turn off your vehicle. Put all your windows down.
May I try Spanish?
Conductor del vehículo rojo. Baja todas tus ventanas.
What you guys got?
He was swerving in and out of lanes. He almost teased into a car.
Baja todas tus
I
ventanas.
would try to pull him over, but he stopped over here.
Pon las manos para afuera. Put both of your hands out. Careful. Hey, dude. Hey.
Hey!
Officer, please help.
Slow it down, guys. Slow it down. Nice and slow. All right. Roll them over. Just pat down.
So I'm going to give you a shot at this. Pardon the bad pun there, RK. But what we saw there, we saw multiple angles, obviously, of the same incident, different cameras. One was, I think, the home security camera. And then we saw, I think, 3 different angles from law enforcement. And I think it's self-set up very well. This person is weaving. This 2-officer unit makes a traffic stop. And we have a non-compliant violator at that point. And then we see what ensues. So with that set up there, I'm going to turn over to you and give us your thoughts on this. And we'll talk about what type of a quote-unquote weapon the suspect had.
Right. Well, I look at it starting with the decision-making and the procedures they followed. And all of it looks fairly solid to me. Instead of walking up on the car, they've made, in essence, almost a hot stop on the suspect vehicle. And from there, they try to problem solve. And it's all on the suspect, how it progresses from there. He's verbally resistant with the FU comment. Of course, he's allowed to say whatever he wants, but it's indicative of where it's going and how the officers are assessing it. I like the fact that they're communicating back and forth, they're talking, even to the point when the backup unit arrives, an officer deploys to the driver's side and then another one to the passenger side. They're talking. driver's side, the officer comes up and says, "What do we got?" And the officers, the original female officers, are not hyped up or anything. They give a quick rundown for situational awareness, and they're going through the checkpoints as far as how they try to process this successfully. Unfortunately, the suspect makes a decision that's contrary to that goal. But you look at the officer's actions, they're talking in English, but then switch to Spanish in an effort to get compliance. Doesn't work. And eventually, with little or no warning, the suspect pops out. And as we can see from the surveillance camera video, he immediately starts to move towards the officers. His hands aren't up in the air. His hands aren't down at his side. His hands are in a classic shooting position, which all officers know because they practice it themselves. And then from there, use of force because of the threat to the officers as they perceive it. Reasonable? Yes.
I'm sorry, what was that last part?
I'm sorry. Reasonable under Graham versus Connor? Absolutely. Because
Reasonable.
the suspect presented what the officers in their mind saw as a lethal threat.
Well, I not that I have the pedigree you do, but I couldn't agree more with your assessment, and it's a lot more detailed, I think, than I'd have been able to provide. But I agree, the communication between the two initial officers, female officers, I think was excellent. They were calm, they were under control. They had eyes on the target the entire time, or let's just say the suspect vehicle turns out to be a target when they had actually had fire. But and they were able to communicate with that backup of officer when he arrived. I think he did a fantastic job, and they gave this person every opportunity to comply, and he did not. So it turns out, from what I understand, that it was not a firearm. He actually had a cell phone in his hand, if I'm correct on this. But again, it's what the officer legitimately perceives and understandably perceives, and that's what those officers, all three actually perceived a true threat. So I think this was handled in the most appropriate way. And people, this is going to go down, by the way. This is going to go down as an unarmed person shot and killed by police officers. That's what the headline will say. That's what the FBI stats will say. But it does not indicate what actually happened and what the officers legitimately perceived at the time. So thank you for that. We're going to go to our second video here, Arcade.
Could I just throw in one more comment?
Oh, please, and let me know when you're done. I'll shut up. Go right ahead.
In California, police officers have to live and breathe and abide by California Penal Code Section 835A, which addresses situations like this where use of lethal force is involved. And now the wording is that the officer's decision has to be reasonable as well as necessary. So the reasonable comes from Graham versus Connor. Necessary becomes what the legislature put into the discussion. But even with that second word, necessary, putting myself in the mindset of the officers, when someone presents in the way that the suspect did, that's necessary to protect their lives. They didn't have time to assess what was the object in his hands. He made the decision to take that kind of action. They were totally reactive as far as their assessment at that split second.